My name is Dale Colehall. I am 46 years old, and I work as a coal transport driver for Appalachian Mining Services, hauling coal loads through West Virginia's remote mountain mining roads, where I've learned that some mechanical breakdowns aren't caused by normal equipment problems, but by entities that view coal trucks as unwelcome intruders in their mountain territory. Before we begin, let us know in the comments where you are watching from, please. I've been driving coal trucks for 21 years throughout West Virginia's coal mining regions, navigating narrow mountain roads that climb through steep hollows, where mining operations have scarred the landscape, and where truck breakdowns can leave drivers stranded for hours in areas with no cell service or emergency assistance. This happened last October while hauling a 40-ton coal load from the Big Branch mine near Welch to the coal processing facility in Beckley, following Route 52 through remote mountain terrain where mining roads wend through hollows that have been mined for decades. The mining road passes through areas where environmental damage from coal extraction has created moonscape terrain with exposed rock faces, contaminated streams, and vegetation killed by mining runoff, creating an atmosphere of desolation that affects drivers' psychological state during long hauling shifts. Around 3 p.m., while climbing the steep grade toward Pinnacle Rock, my fully loaded coal truck began experiencing power loss that didn't correspond to any mechanical problem I recognized after 21 years of mountain truck driving through challenging mining terrain. My diesel engine was running normally but couldn't generate sufficient power to maintain climbing speed on the steep mining road grades, forcing me to downshift repeatedly, despite recent maintenance and perfect mechanical condition verified during pre-trip inspections. Around 4 p.m., the power loss escalated to complete engine failure, with electrical systems shutting down in patterns that left me stranded on a remote mining road where emergency assistance could take hours to reach my location through difficult mountain terrain. The engine failure occurred in an area of intense strip mining activity where the landscape had been completely altered by coal extraction, creating an environment of industrial desolation that intensified the psychological impact of being stranded alone with disabled equipment. When I attempted to diagnose the mechanical problems using standard troubleshooting procedures, I discovered evidence that my truck's systems had been damaged through methods that exceeded normal equipment failure and suggested deliberate sabotage using supernatural capabilities. Around 5 p.m., while examining engine components and electrical systems, I began experiencing phenomena that confirmed my truck failure was caused by entities that specifically targeted coal transport operations in areas where mining activities had disturbed their mountain territory. Strange sounds began coming from the surrounding mining landscape, mechanical noises that mimicked mining equipment operation, but that came from abandoned extraction sites where no industrial activity should be occurring during evening hours. The sounds seemed designed to confuse and disorient stranded drivers by creating acoustic illusions that suggested help or activity in areas where no assistance was actually available during emergency situations. Around 6 p.m., entities began demonstrating direct interference with my emergency repair attempts by manipulating tools and spare parts in ways that prevented successful troubleshooting of mechanical problems affecting my coal transport vehicle. Equipment that had been functioning properly during my inspection would malfunction when I attempted to use it for repairs, and replacement parts showed damage that hadn't existed in my emergency supply inventory before the breakdown occurred. The systematic interference with repair efforts created escalating mechanical challenges that suggested the entities understood commercial truck operation and maintenance procedures well enough to sabotage emergency repair attempts. Around 7 p.m., the supernatural interference escalated when entities began physically manipulating my disabled truck to demonstrate their opposition to coal mining operations and their ability to prevent coal transport through their mountain territory. The loaded coal truck began rocking despite no wind conditions. Trailer doors opened and closed without manual operation, and air brake systems activated randomly in ways that created loud noises designed to intimidate stranded drivers. Most concerning was that coal from my trailer began spilling onto the mining road despite properly secured load restraints, creating environmental contamination that seemed designed to mock the environmental damage caused by coal mining operations. Around 9 p.m., using emergency communication equipment, I managed to establish radio contact with Appalachian Mining Services, dispatch, and coordinate emergency assistance, despite continued supernatural interference with communication systems. During the 3-hour wait for emergency road service, entities continued their harassment campaign, but seemed to focus their activities on preventing coal transport rather than causing direct harm to stranded drivers. The tow truck operator, who eventually reached my location, reported similar coal truck breakdown incidents throughout West Virginia's mining regions, with patterns of simultaneous system failures that exceeded normal equipment maintenance statistics. Investigation of my truck revealed mechanical and electrical damage that required extensive repairs, but with failure patterns that couldn't be explained through normal wear or environmental factors affecting coal truck operations in mining areas. The damage showed systematic targeting of components essential for coal hauling operations, suggesting entities possessed detailed knowledge of commercial truck systems and their vulnerabilities during coal transport activities. When I reported the breakdown incident to company management, I learned that similar supernatural interference with coal trucks had been documented throughout West Virginia's mining regions, particularly in areas where strip mining had caused extensive environmental damage. I continued driving coal trucks because coal transport provides essential fuel for power generation, and because experienced mining truck drivers earn good wages in West Virginia's energy economy. But I now carry enhanced emergency equipment for supernatural breakdown scenarios. Some entities in West Virginia's coal mining regions view coal transport as environmental destruction, requiring aggressive response through systematic truck sabotage that can leave drivers stranded in remote mining areas where emergency assistance is hours away. My name is Ruby Pitmuth. I am 34 years old, and I work as a heritage tourism coordinator for West Virginia State Parks, managing camping facilities at historical mining sites throughout the coal country, where I've discovered that some abandoned mining camps contain phantom residents who view modern campers as unwelcome intruders in their eternal work territories. I've been coordinating heritage camping for 9 years throughout West Virginia's coal mining regions, maintaining camping facilities that provide educational experiences about mining history, while allowing visitors to camp near preserved mining operations and company towns. This happened last August while managing the overnight camping program at the Thurmond Heritage Mining Camp, a preserved coal mining facility near the New River Gorge, where families can experience authentic mining camp life through educational camping in restored miners' quarters and tent camping areas. The heritage site preserves a complete coal mining operation from the early 1900s, including mine shafts, processing facilities, company housing, and mining equipment that provides visitors with comprehensive understanding of coal mining's impact on West Virginia communities and environment. Our camping program attracted families interested in mining history who wanted to experience the living conditions and community atmosphere that characterized coal mining camps during West Virginia's industrial development period. Around 8 p.m., while conducting evening activities for camping families, we began experiencing unusual phenomena that immediately distinguished this heritage camping session from routine educational programs I had managed over 9 years of coal mining tourism. Several camping families reported seeing figures in mining gear moving through areas of the preserved mining camp, but the figures appeared to be conducting actual mining work rather than participating in educational activities or tourism programs. The figures wore authentic mining clothing from the early 1900s and carried mining tools and equipment that matched the historical period represented by the heritage site, but their behavior suggested they were actual miners rather than historical interpreters. Around 10 p.m., the phantom miners began demonstrating territorial behavior toward camping families, using intimidation tactics that suggested they viewed the heritage camping program as intrusion into their working mining camp rather than appropriate educational use of the preserved site. The phantom miners would approach family camping areas and examine modern camping equipment with obvious disapproval, making gestures and expressions that communicated hostility toward recreational camping in areas they considered active mining operations. Most disturbing was their obvious understanding of mining camp social hierarchy and community rules, treating camping families as unauthorized residents who were violating mining camp protocols and community standards from the early 1900s. Around 11 p.m., the phantom miners began systematic harassment of camping families by manipulating camping equipment and creating acoustic disturbances designed to drive modern visitors away from their claimed mining camp territory. Tent stakes were pulled from the ground during nighttime hours. Camping chairs were rearranged into patterns that mimicked mining camp meeting configurations, and food supplies were redistributed according to mining camp rationing systems from the historical period. The harassment showed detailed knowledge of mining camp operations and community organization, suggesting the phantom miners possessed authentic experience with coal mining camp life and social relationships that had characterized these communities. Around midnight, camping families reported being approached by phantom miners who attempted to recruit them for mining work, using gestures and mining terminology to communicate work assignments and shift schedules for coal extraction operations. The phantom miners seemed to believe that camping families were new mining camp residents who needed to be integrated into mining operations and community work responsibilities. According to historical mining camp social organization, children in camping families reported being particularly targeted by phantom miners who seemed interested in training young people for mining work using educational methods that had been typical of mining camp childhood experiences. Around 1 a.m., I realized that the phantom miners' activities were creating psychological trauma for camping families, and made the decision to coordinate emergency evacuation from the Heritage Mining Camp, despite the educational value of the program. But the phantom miners weren't deterred by evacuation efforts, and actively interfered with families' attempts to leave the mining camp, using territorial behavior to prevent departure from what they considered their active work site. They blocked access routes from camping areas and used intimidation tactics to keep families within mining camp boundaries, treating evacuation attempts as unauthorized departure from mining work responsibilities. Around 3 a.m., using emergency procedures and coordination with New River Gorge National Park personnel, we successfully evacuated all camping families from Thurmond Heritage Mining Camp, despite continued resistance from phantom miners. During evacuation, phantom miners demonstrated supernatural abilities, including rapid movement through mining facility areas and coordination that confirmed they weren't normal historical interpreters or tourism personnel, but entities connected to the mining camp's historical operations. When we safely evacuated and filed incident reports, I learned that similar phantom miner encounters had been documented at coal mining heritage sites throughout West Virginia, with consistent patterns of territorial behavior and mining work recruitment activities. Investigation revealed that mining camps had been characterized by intense community loyalty and work dedication that apparently continued beyond the historical periods, when these communities had been active mining operations. Traditional knowledge from mining families described spiritual connections between miners and their work sites that could persist after mining operations ended, particularly at locations where mining communities had experienced tragedy or displacement. I continue coordinating heritage camping because mining history provides essential education about West Virginia's industrial development and community heritage. But I now include warnings about phantom miner encounters and maintain evacuation protocols for supernatural territorial incidents. Current heritage camping programs include enhanced safety briefings about phantom miner behavior, shortened overnight programs to reduce exposure to supernatural encounters, and alternative educational activities that minimize camping in areas where phantom miners maintain territorial claims. Some phantom miners in West Virginia's preserved mining camps maintain territorial claims that supersede heritage tourism activities and will defend their mining operations against modern camping families through intimidation and recruitment tactics that reflect authentic mining camp social organization. My name is Tunnel McKinley. I am 51 years old, and I work as a transportation safety inspector for the West Virginia Department of Highways, monitoring truck traffic and safety conditions through mountain tunnels that connect coal mining regions with transportation networks, where I've discovered that some tunnels contain supernatural elements that cause commercial trucks to disappear during routine transit operations. I've been working highway safety for 18 years throughout West Virginia's challenging mountain transportation system, specializing in tunnel safety and truck traffic management, through underground passages that provide essential connections for coal transport and commercial freight operations. This happened throughout last winter while investigating a disturbing pattern of missing commercial trucks in the Hawk's Nest Tunnel near Ansted, a 4,100-foot mountain tunnel on U.S. Route 60 that provides critical transportation access for coal trucks and commercial vehicles traveling through central West Virginia. Hawk's Nest Tunnel was constructed in the 1930s through Galley Mountain and has a dark history involving construction worker deaths from silicosis, but it remains an essential transportation route for coal trucks and commercial traffic that must cross the mountain to reach processing facilities and markets. The missing truck incidents began in December when veteran coal truck driver Jerry Martinez entered the Hawk's Nest Tunnel eastbound with a full coal load, but never emerged from the western portal, despite tunnel monitoring systems that should have tracked his transit through the underground passage. Martinez was an experienced driver with over 25 years of coal hauling experience, who understood tunnel safety protocols and who had traveled through Hawk's Nest Tunnel hundreds of times during his career without experiencing any problems or safety concerns. When Martinez failed to exit the tunnel within the normal transit time and couldn't be reached by radio communication, we initiated emergency search procedures inside the 4,100-foot tunnel, using specialized tunnel rescue equipment and safety protocols. The tunnel search revealed no trace of Martinez or his loaded coal truck, despite comprehensive examination of the entire underground passage, including side chambers, emergency areas, and ventilation systems that might have concealed disabled equipment. 2 weeks later, Linda Chen, driving an empty coal truck westbound through Hawk's Nest Tunnel, similarly disappeared during routine tunnel transit with no evidence of mechanical problems, accident, or driver error that might explain her vanishing from a monitored transportation tunnel. Chen was a skilled commercial driver with extensive tunnel driving experience, who maintained excellent safety records, and who had been making routine coal hauling runs through Hawk's Nest Tunnel for over a decade without incident. The search for Chen produced identical results. No physical evidence of her truck or personal belongings, despite exhaustive examination of the tunnel interior and all areas where disabled equipment might be concealed during emergency situations. By March, 5 commercial trucks had disappeared in Hawk's Nest Tunnel, all during routine transit operations, and all involving experienced drivers who understood tunnel safety protocols and who had extensive experience with mountain transportation challenges. The disappearances showed no pattern related to weather conditions, tunnel maintenance schedules, or traffic volume factors that might explain mechanical problems or safety incidents that could cause truck drivers to vanish during tunnel transit. Investigation into Hawk's Nest Tunnel's monitoring systems revealed that electronic surveillance equipment recorded trucks entering the tunnel, but showed no evidence of the vehicles exiting or remaining inside the underground passage during their transit attempts. The monitoring system failures suggested technical problems, but comprehensive testing of all electronic equipment showed normal operation during periods when truck disappearances occurred, indicating the surveillance systems were functioning properly despite inexplicable results. Most disturbing were reports from other truck drivers who had successfully transited Hawk's Nest Tunnel during the period when disappearances were occurring, describing unusual phenomena that created psychological distress during routine tunnel travel. Drivers reported temperature drops inside the tunnel that couldn't be explained by normal underground climate conditions, acoustic anomalies that included voices and mechanical sounds that didn't correspond to tunnel operations or traffic, and visual disturbances that affected concentration during tunnel driving. Several truck drivers reported seeing other commercial vehicles inside Hawk's Nest Tunnel that appeared to be traveling in the opposite direction, but that never appeared at tunnel portals, and that seemed to vanish when drivers attempted to observe them directly. The phantom truck sightings included vehicles that matched descriptions of trucks that had disappeared in the tunnel, suggesting that missing commercial vehicles might still be operating inside the underground passage, despite not exiting at either portal. Around April, while conducting comprehensive tunnel safety inspection with specialized underground rescue equipment, I began experiencing phenomena that confirmed Hawk's Nest Tunnel contained supernatural elements that affected commercial truck operations Electronic equipment malfunctioned inside specific areas of the tunnel. Communication systems failed to operate properly. And tunnel lighting showed fluctuations that created visibility problems for detailed safety inspection work. Most concerning were direct observations of truck traffic inside the tunnel that didn't correspond to surface monitoring data, including commercial vehicles that appeared to be conducting normal tunnel transit, but that weren't recorded by entrance or exit monitoring systems. I observed what appeared to be missing: trucks continuing their underground operations, traveling through Hawk's Nest Tunnel repeatedly without exiting, but apparently trapped in continuous transit loops that prevented them from completing their transportation missions. When I attempted to approach or communicate with the phantom truck traffic, the vehicles would become less visible and eventually disappear entirely, suggesting they existed in a state that allowed observation but not direct interaction. Investigation into Hawk's Nest Tunnel construction history revealed the deaths of hundreds of construction workers from silicosis during the 1930s excavation, creating a legacy of industrial tragedy that might have contributed to supernatural activity affecting modern tunnel operation. Traditional knowledge from West Virginia mining communities described mountain tunnels as dangerous locations where industrial accidents and worker deaths could create spiritual activity that affected transportation and industrial operations for decades after construction was completed. I continue working tunnel safety because underground transportation routes are essential for West Virginia's coal economy and commercial freight operations, but I now include supernatural phenomena, monitoring and tunnel safety protocols, and maintain emergency procedures for phantom truck encounters. Current Hawks Nest Tunnel safety procedures include enhanced communication systems to maintain contact with truck drivers during tunnel transit, reduce tunnel traffic during periods of high supernatural activity, and alternative transportation routes for drivers who report phantom truck sightings or unusual tunnel experiences. Some mountain tunnels in West Virginia contain supernatural elements related to construction tragedy that can trap commercial trucks in continuous transit loops, creating disappearances that challenge conventional understanding of transportation safety and tunnel operation principles.